Hello there, fellow adventurers. This is Sorvesteon coming to you from Riders of Icarus, and I am very pleased to be able to bring you a taming guide for the Profane Apocalypse, especially since this mount is probably the most difficult to get in the game presently. Now, before I continue, I just wanted to mention that if you are planning to tame the Profane Apocalypse, and that's why you're watching this video, you should already have a full modest PvP set, and you should have already have tamed Nightmare. Now the reason I say that is because to tame the Profane Apocalypse, you're going to lose your ability to tame Nightmare. So there's a bit of an order here. If you haven't tamed Nightmare, then please go watch my video on how to tame Nightmare and go tame him first, and then come and watch this video on how to tame the Profane Apocalypse second. Now, with that out of the way, I'm also going to assume that, since you already have a full modest PvP set and you've already tamed Nightmare, that you already know how to go out and gather a lot of the materials for the armor set that you need to do this. That includes Exarium ore and coins and basically stuff like that. If you want more information on how to go out and gather those things, then you can, again, go and check out my Nightmare video, because in that video I do cover how to do all that stuff. In this video, I'm only really going to cover the things that have changed since I made my Nightmare video. Now, with all that being said, let's go and let's see what the bestiary has to say about taming Profane Apocalypse. So, lots of backstory, but basically you need to have a full hunter armor set. Now, it's not just any hunter set. Again, remember, for Nightmare you needed to have a modest hunter set. Well, for the Profane Apocalypse, you need to have an austere hunter set. And you can see here down at the bottom, Profane Apocalypse can be tamed, and it provides a little buff here. So that's what you need to tame the Profane Apocalypse. And this is what the austere hunter set looks like. Like the modest set, it is based off of the model from the Frost Commander set. It has the tassel on the side as well. And unlike the modest set, the austere hunter set is red, whereas the modest set was green, and it provides, of course, the ability to tame the Profane Apocalypse. Now, there are two ways you can acquire an austere hunter set. The first way is to talk to this guy here, Rashiel. He is the Enigma Chest coin dealer, and in his coin shop, he provides the level 35 Exarn Enigma chests, and they have a chance to give you one random piece of level 35 PvP gear, in other words, austere gear. However, they cost 360 Exarn coins, and that's a lot. It'll take you several days of grinding in the Exarn Badlands to save up that amount of coins, and like the description says, what you get out of it is completely random. So you could get 3 shoulders, you could get a sword or a crossbow, and it's just not an efficient way of getting your austere hunter set. So I don't recommend it. The more efficient way of getting your austere hunter set is to craft it. Now you can get the recipes from this guy here, Tuark, the recipe merchant. Both Tuark and Rashiel are located in Blood Moon Camp. You won't be able to get these recipes in Conqueror's Gate. They're only available from these two guys here in Blood Moon Camp. Now, all you have to do is talk to Tuart, go to the armor section, and here you can get all the recipes for, well, all the classes, but for your class in particular, because that's the one you're going to be interested in. Now, in order to learn these recipes, you will have to have achieved stage 3 in your armor crafting. Like I said, you should have already acquired a full modest set. I'm going to assume that you've crafted that, and so in order to have crafted your modest hunter set, well, you needed stage 3 to learn those recipes as well. So let's take a look at the recipes for the austere hunter set themselves. Like I said, you need a modest hunter's armor set in order to craft your austere hunter set because, see, for the austere hunter stalwart helm, I need a modest hunter stalwart helm. So in the process of crafting your austere hunter set, you're going to lose your modest hunter set. And that's why I said earlier in the video that you're going to lose your ability to tame Nightmare. Unless you go and you craft yourself a second modest hunter set, which I don't think a lot of people will do, considering how expensive it is to craft one of those sets. You're going to lose your modest hunter set to create your austere hunter set. And as we go through and we look at all the different recipes, it'll consume, whoops, not that one. It'll consume your entire modest hunter set. Now, just like crafting the modest hunter set, you need more Exarium alloy. In fact, you need the same amount that you needed to craft your modest hunter set. So you're going to remember I went and calculated how much Exarium ore you needed to craft your modest hunter set. Well, you need the same amount to craft your austere hunter set. So you need 800 Exarium ore in order to craft the 40 Exarium alloys you need in order to create your austere hunter set. So that's quite a bit. In addition to the Exarium alloys, you also need cheap electrodes. Now here, let me just close this stuff and I'll go show you where you can get that. You can really just get it from just about any armor crafter. So let's see, where's the armor crafter? Here he is, Zachary. So you can find this stuff in the process material tab of the shop, and see, there you go, cheap electrodes. So those aren't any problem to get.
Take a look around.
The next thing that you're going to need is chaos fragments. Now, this is the helm for the austere. Let's take a look at the helm for the hunter. So you only needed 2 for the modest hunter set. In fact, you only needed 2 for each individual piece. But for the austere hunter set, this requirement doubles. So you now need 4 chaos fragments to craft each individual piece. And as well as that, you need double the chaos essences as well. Now, the chaos fragments is one of the materials which has seen a big change since I made my nightmare video, and for that we're gonna go over to the auction house.
Do they expect me to handle everything?
Chaos fragment. So when I made my nightmare video, at that time, chaos fragments were very plentiful and they were very cheap. They were less than a gold each. But now, I guess because not as many people are out there farming the mobs that drop these, they've all been kind of like used up on the auction house. They've all been bought, so it's like there is not enough supply to meet the demand, and so the price has really shot up. I mean, look at this, you know, there's one on there for 10 gold, and then the other ones are 20 gold, or not 20 gold, sorry, they're all around 10 gold each, but that is a huge change from when I made my nightmare video, and even still, you know, we need 4 chaos fragments just to craft one piece. There is not enough chaos fragments on the auction house for you to complete a full set of austere armor. So that is one of the big changes since I made my nightmare video.
My time is precious.
It's become harder to get that particular item. And that item in particular because you can't get it through quests. The chaos essences, here, let me just head over to the quest board here. The chaos essences you can get from doing the daily repeatables. So they haven't really gone up in price a whole lot. I mean, they're a little bit more expensive, but you know, like you can just get these through doing the daily repeatable quests, and because people can get them through the daily repeatable quests, the price hasn't gone up too much. But the chaos fragments are a different story. There is no way to get them from any of the quests. That means the only source of chaos fragments is when they drop off of the different mobs in the Exarm Badlands. And it's an uncommon item, so it's fairly rare to see them drop. So, with less people out there killing those mobs, with more demand for the for austere hunter sets, and thus more demand for the chaos fragments, they are a lot more expensive, and they're going to be an item that you're now probably going to have to farm yourself. Now, the chaos fragments have a chance of dropping off of any of the mobs in the Exarm Badlands, but not all mobs have an equal chance of dropping it. What I've noticed is that there are certain mobs in particular that have a very good chance of dropping these chaos fragments. Those being these scouts right here. And not just these scouts, but also the mobs located in the farm. So the two areas highlighted by this quest are the areas containing mobs that have a very good chance of dropping the chaos fragments. Now, the unfortunate thing though is the reason why these mobs have a very good chance of dropping the chaos fragments is because they are very difficult to kill. In fact, I would almost consider them to be group mobs. And here, I'll just show you how difficult they can be. It's a level 34 scout, and I just hit it with Focus Barrage, and look how little damage I did. I'm going to hit it again, and still, I'm just not doing that much damage, even with Explosive Shot. And again, look at how much damage it's doing to me. 340, 300 a hit. With a protracted battle that this is going to turn into, for the amount of time it'll take me to kill it, you can see it is doing a lot of damage to me. In fact, I won't be able to kill this thing without using pots. So that's the reason why they have such a good drop chance, is because they are very nasty and very hard to kill. So I'm just going to head over to the other area and show you the mobs over in that area. Alright, so here I am over in the farm area, and these skirmishers and these runners also have a good chance of dropping the chaos fragments. But again, they are very hard to kill, and I will just go ahead and shoot one just to show you how much HP they have. So it's a lot like the scouts. You can see that even though I'm hitting these things with my strongest attacks, I'm not really making a huge dent in their HP, so these things are rather difficult, and you will need either a lot of time and a lot of potions in order to solo them, well, unless you're a priest, or you will need some friends to come help you out, because, they are quite mean. Now, while I was showing you that, I was in my Austere Hunter set. Now I've switched over to my Frost Commander set, and I just wanted to show you that, despite switching over to, a fully decked out PvE set, it still really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I'm not really hitting this scout for any more than I was when I was in my Austere Hunter set, and it's still doing, quite a bit of damage to me. It's still hitting me for 300 or more. So, like I said, it doesn't matter how you farm these, they are going to hurt quite a bit. So once you've gotten yourself a full set of Austere Hunter armor, your next challenge becomes finding Profane Apocalypse. I've put together a map here of all of his spawn locations. I based this map off of a map I acquired from the Japanese version of the game. Now, as you can see, the Japanese map looks very different from the map that we have, and that's because our version of the game, the North American version, is younger than the Japanese version. So we're still missing several of the areas for the Exarm Badlands. So what I've done is I've done my best to try and interpret where the spawn locations on that map would fit on our map. However, because we are missing several of the areas that are shown on the Japanese map, we are missing two of the spawn locations for the Profane Apocalypse that are located in the northwestern part of Crimsonreach, specifically on the road to the Divinity Shore and in the Divinity Shore itself. Now, I've gone ahead and I've marked the different spawn locations on my map in red and yellow. The locations in red are places where I have personally seen the Profane Apocalypse. The locations in yellow come from the Japanese map, but are locations where I have not personally confirmed that the Profane Apocalypse spawns. However, it was the Japanese map that led me to the 3 locations where I did end up seeing the Profane Apocalypse. So I think we can trust that the Japanese map is pretty accurate. Now, while I wasn't able to personally confirm all of the spawn locations, I was able to confirm the Profane Apocalypse's respawn time. It's 6 hours exactly. And that makes the respawn time for the Profane Apocalypse the longest respawn time for any familiar in the game. Now, because it is so long, you will need to find out when the Profane Apocalypse spawned before, so that you have some idea of when it's going to spawn again. This isn't a familiar that you can just, sit around and wait for, because you could be sitting there waiting for 6 hours. And even then, it will spawn at one of the locations that I've marked on my map. So if you want to have a good chance of finding it, you'll probably need some friends to scout out some of the other spawn locations, because it's very hard for one individual to cover all of the spawn locations. And because there are so many other people looking for it, and they will have scouts out, it's very likely that it will get tamed very soon after it spawns. So now that I've explained how to find the Profane Apocalypse, let me show you how to tame it. And there is Profane Apocalypse, not quite where I expected him to be. And there is Kazehi from Fantasy Horizon, and we're just kind of looking at each other going like, huh. Wonder what we should do about this. Really? Well, I'm going to try and jump on him and see if I am lucky enough to... Oh, look at all that red. There's no way I'm going to... There's no way I'm going to get a Profane Apocalypse. Not with that amount of red. That is unfortunate. Look at the amount of damage he does! That's insane! Absolutely insane. I cannot believe how much damage this guy does to you. Like, right off the bat, that's absolutely crazy. Oh, we're almost there. Can we get it? Wow, yeah, we got Profane Apocalypse. That is amazing. I cannot believe that. Oh, that is so awesome. I am so happy. Wow. Oh, yeah. That's cool. That is very, very cool. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about what you just saw. Now, first off, that was a really, really, really rare opportunity. It just so happened that the time when the Profane Apocalypse was respawning happened to be a very quiet time on the server. Probably most of the people were in bed, and so there wasn't a whole lot of competition for Profane Apocalypse at that time. Now, normally it's not like that. Usually there is a lot of competition for the Profane Apocalypse. There is a lot of people that end up showing up, and it turns into a gigantic PvP fight where one group usually ends up dominating the whole area around the Profane Apocalypse. And then, after they've kind of created a safe zone around it, then one person, tries to tame it and continues repeatedly until they succeed. That's what normally happens. And, you know, you don't really have a whole lot of time because usually a lot of the alliances have, you know, a lot of lookouts all around the map at each of the different spawn locations. And so they know immediately when the Profane Apocalypse respawns. And then, you know, all the other lookouts start heading directly to that location as fast as possible to support, you know, their effort for whoever in their group needs to tame the Profane Apocalypse. Now, as you saw, the Profane Apocalypse hits pretty darn hard. Like, this thing is just absolutely insane. Like, as you saw, like, he basically one-hit that other player. It was crazy. This guy just hits so hard. He hits harder than Nightmare does, and that is partly because he's higher level than Nightmare is. Nightmare is level 35, whereas the Profane Apocalypse is level 38. And because he is level 38, that means he's also harder to tame. So, as you saw, my armor set was not consumed the first time I failed. If you get bucked off of Profane Apocalypse, you know, you keep your armor set so you can just, you know, hop back on and try an infinite number of times so long as you have the opportunity to do so. And that is kind of the trouble because it might take you several attempts, but you're in a PvP zone. And there are other people that want this mount, and, you know, you have to go through the minigame to tame him, right? And so, you know, while that's happening, someone could come along and they could kill you. So while you don't have to lower its HP at all to tame it, the Profane Apocalypse is probably still the most difficult mount to tame in the game so far. And that comes from a combination of, you know, his high level, the plethora of spawn locations that it can show up at, you know, how hard the Profane Apocalypse actually hits, so he could one-hit you before you even get a chance to jump on. The PvP competition for this thing, because it's in a PvP zone, and, you know, like, you need time in order to tame it, and in a PvP zone, time is just one of the things you really don't have. And it has a long respawn time, the longest out of all of the familiars in the game so far. So, you know, all of these things combined just make this mount the hardest to get. Oh, I almost forgot to mention one other thing that contributes to making the Profane Apocalypse the most difficult mount to obtain, and that is, of course, because in the Ixalan Badlands, there are no channels. So, unlike Apocalypse, which also has a very long respawn, I think it's 5 hours, at least 5 of them end up spawning because there are 5 channels here in Parna's Coast. But in the Ixalan Badlands, there is only one channel, and so there is only one Profane Apocalypse that shows up every 6 hours. Now, luckily for you, the Profane Apocalypse has a chance to show up in another place, and that is the Lair of Ianos that I'm standing in front of right here. Now, it is a very rare chance. There's only a 10% chance that the Lair of Ianos is going to spawn a heroic ground mount to begin with. So, the chance that it will spawn the Profane Apocalypse is very small indeed, but at least there is a small chance. And with the Profane Apocalypse that spawns in the Lair of Ianos, you do not need the armor set, the austere hunter armor set. Instead, all you need is a familiar control stone. And of course, in the Lair of Ianos, it's a solo dungeon. There is no competition for Profane Apocalypse. You're the only one there. No one's going to try and shoot you if you jump on it. So, that is or provides you an opportunity to try and get this mount without having to actually go into the PvP zone. Although, to be honest, given the low chance for the Profane Apocalypse to spawn in the Lair of Inos, it could be a long time before you see it. So, assuming that you tamed Nightmare first, once you tame the Profane Apocalypse, then you will complete the Exaranian Exotics collection, and you will be able to receive 400 Exaran coins. Now, let's take a look at the Profane Apocalypse's stats and its skills. So its max level is level 35, and mine is max level. Oh, here, let me take off the gear. So its stats without gear look like this. It's got a very good movement speed, very good stats all around. If I put the gear back on, that just makes it, that much better. It's very, very similar to Apocalypse. So Apocalypse is wearing the exact same gear, and if I just go over, you can see Apocalypse has just a little bit more physical defense, whereas the Profane Apocalypse has, just a little bit more stamina. Now, as for its skills, those are also very similar to the skills that Apocalypse gets. It gets the Mythic Resilience, so it's immune to all environmental effects. It gets Apocalyptic Resilience, and this is a PvP buff. It increases your PvP resistance by 19%, and that is really nice. It gets Bred for Battle, so this is very similar to the buff that that Apocalypse gets, but instead of increasing both physical attack and physical crit rate, the Profane Apocalypse's Bred for Battle increases physical attack by 30%, and then it increases magic attack by 30%. So it works for both melee-based classes and magic-based classes. It gets the Equine Endurance passive, which increases its EP, so its stamina. And it gets Apocalyptic Power. Now, this is a movement speed buff, and it also increases evasion. So it increases your movement speed by 35% for 20 seconds. And that's on a 45-second cooldown. And let me just show you how fast that makes you go. So if I go into sprint mode... Whoops. If I go into sprint mode here, and then I put on the skill, look at this. That is absolutely insane how fast this horse moves. It's just crazy. And so it's a really great ground mount for just, getting around. And of course, if you want to seal Profane Apocalypse up, that is possible. Doing so will give you 1% PvP resistance and 16 to 19 all stats depending upon your role. And that is how you tame the Profane Apocalypse in the Exaran Badlands. This has been Sorvesteon. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel for more taming guides for Riders of Icarus. Until next time, fellow adventurers, take care and have fun.